Hello, everyone. My name is Zahn. I'm one of the co-founders of Initia. Thank you. I changed up my slide deck last minute. I was originally just going to chill Initia for like 15 minutes, but I instead wanted to talk about something more interesting. So I think we've seen a lot of infrastructure, all this demand for new apps, a lot of product that's coming out for connecting the modular expansion together. And I think one thing that's often forgotten is incentive alignment across these multi-chain systems. So at Initia, essentially, we are holistically rebuilding how multi-chain networks should look, feel, and operate. And that really comes down to three things: the architecture stack, the product stack, but also the economic systems that tie these together. And so today I'm going to introduce something called Initia VIP, which is basically our incentive alignment mechanism across the potential thousands of rollups on top of Initia. We're going to officially announce it next week, but we'll do a little sneak peek here. And it's all about basically lining up your ducks in a row. So what is alignment? It is essentially an agreement between people that want to work together because of shared interests. We have alignment within the Initia ecosystem across all these three different things. The first is infrastructure. Every single rollup on Initia uses the Cosmos SDK underneath. That means there is a shared underlying thread of infra across them all for things like native communication. There's also asset fungibility across Initia's world. So you never have to deal with USDC-A or USDC-B. We just have one form of USDC across the tens of rollups on top of Initia. The second piece of alignment is product alignment. So what does the UX look and feel like for end users that use one rollup or another? Ensuring that how you connect to wallets is the same, ensuring how you bridge around these applications is the same. And then the last piece is economic alignment. Basically making sure that every actor in Initia's ecosystem is, somewhat moving in the same direction. Even if they're not directly doing the exact same thing, they still care about the same direction for Initia as a whole. And that's why yesterday at a different panel, I gave a pretty saucy comparison that Initia is kind of like the Fed chain. And the reason I said that was because I imagined rollups a lot in Ethereum like the EU. Everyone's a state, but no one gives a shit about each other. But in Initia's world, I imagine Initia a lot to be like the federal government in the sense that we have opinions about how monetary policy should work. We have opinions about how transportation of these tokens should work. And then we leave it up to each individual state to build whatever they want, to ship the applications they care about, but they still care about the collective growth of the entire Initia country as a whole. And so how do we apply alignment to a hybrid layer 1 plus multi-layer 2 system? And that's basically finding a way for one underlying asset to unite all the different domains and applications within Initia's world. Get it into the hands of as many people as possible, and make sure that the init token is one of the denominating assets for invoicing as well as just use cases. The reason I say this is if you look at the first multi-chain world, that's Cosmos, you have Atom, which is the hub. That is nowhere. No one cares about Atom. It doesn't really do anything productive. It's not pushed into the other Cosmos chains. No one's like, I want to set up my liquidity pool with Atom as the base pair. But if you look at all of the rollups on Ethereum, everyone uses ETH for gas. Every single liquidity pool and lending market has ETH as one of the main pairs with the highest LTV. And that's something that's important when you're building a multi-chain system, because in our world, things like gas fees are not going to do much for Initia value accrual. We're in the business of building block space. And so rather, we're looking to create utility for our token across all of the rollups on Initia. And so that's where we came up with Initia VIP. It stands for Vested Interest Program. How it works is essentially, okay, imagine this jar of M&Ms is the init token supply. we take out 10% of that init token supply, and it is now for VIP exclusively. And then we create a stream of this 10%. So just like validated rewards, every block, some of this 10% is emitted towards the Inisha VIP program. Now we take this stream and we essentially allocate it to various layer 2s on Inisha. So each month on the layer 1, there is a gauge vote. Gauge votes are something from DeFi, where people on the layer 1, they come and they vote and they say, okay, 30% of this VIP stream is going to this layer 2, 30% is going to this other layer 2, 40% to the last one. Now on each one of these layer 2s that is receiving a stream, there are 2 ways to distribute these rewards directly to end users. The first is init balances held by a user on that chain. So whether it be in the smart contract system that exists there or their balances within the rollup. The second is a layer 2 defined KPI. And that's because we want layer 2s to basically incentivize whatever they care about, not just one thing that we declare. And so these streams are basically directly distributed to end users based on these parameters. It doesn't go to the layer 2 operator. They can't rug the users. It goes directly to end users. And this layer 2 set KPI can basically be anything that can be tracked on chain. So if you are a lending market layer 2, you can say something like borrows. If you are perpetuals layer 2, you might say, I want to incentivize my users based on their volume. Maybe it's mints of an NFT or rolls of a dice in a game like Celestia. Basically, whatever you want, we can distribute these rewards to your users based on it. There is one twist, though. We don't directly give users init tokens that are unlocked. We give them escrowed init tokens that are then basically unlocked based on engagement and retention. And so how does this unlock work? Essentially, if I, as a user, earned a bunch of rewards by trading perpetuals on this platform, I have to maintain my init balances on that layer 2, and I must maintain my volume, if that's how it was distributed, over time to slowly unlock these rewards. As I maintain those volumes, I am contributing back to the layer 2 there, and they're earning their fees that way. I'm earning additional rewards, and I'm also earning more escrowed init rewards over time to keep me a long-term, happy, aligned user. And so let's walk through an example, because I know it was pretty confusing. So say that this month's VIP rewards are 1 million escrowed init, and we have a gauge vote on the layer 1 here, and we allocate this much to each layer 2. Then we specifically look at one Inisha. It has 400,000 escrowed inits this month. And we look at one user of 10 uniform users. So they've all done the same volume, for example. So on week 1, if I do $1 million of volume and I have 50 init on that layer 2, I would earn 10,000 escrowed inits, essentially because you have 4,000 for this month divided by 4, one for each week, and then divided by the 10 users. However, none of those escrowed inits are unlocked yet. In week 2, I do basically the exact same metrics. I do another million of volume. I still have my 50 init. I would earn another 10,000 escrowed inits, but I would begin to unlock the escrowed init from my first week. So the first 10,000 over 52, I would unlock those, and I'll be able to do whatever I want with that, whether that be staking or selling or anything else. In week 3, I drop my volume down to 500,000. And so I only earn 5,000 escrowed inits. But what happens is, because I didn't maintain my full engagement of the 1 million from week 1, I only earn half of the vesting for that week. So I only get 96 and another 96 from week 2. And then in the last week, if I did back to 1 million volume, I would then have the full vest from the first week, the full vest from the second week, and the full vest from the third week. And so how do participants essentially benefit from Initia VIP? Well, for validators, it creates an actual use case for governance to be important on the layer 1. Every layer 2 has to care because the gauge vote is held on the layer 1 by layer 1 stakers. And this can create really interesting design mechanics where you have essentially people bribing layer 1 stakers to vote rewards to their layer 2. And on an L1's perspective, it is very important because there's more in it essentially being locked across all of these layer 2s, and we're building new use cases for them. How do layer 2s benefit? Essentially, Minishas and their operators can choose to take a commission of the rewards from VIP. This means they could take something like 5% of the supply of the VIP reward stream, similar to how validators take a commission of staking rewards. And L2 end users basically get incentives for doing and using the applications they would already typically do. And so this creates a really interesting cycle of momentum where you have incentivization leading to increased usage and increased usage leading to larger incentivization. So essentially with Initia VIP, Initia wins when Minishas win, and that's the whole goal of building infrastructure. You are trying to enable more interesting, more powerful applications, and we essentially only win if layer 2s on Initia win. All right, so enough about infra and our economics. I'm just gonna shill 3 layer 2s on Initia right now that I think are pretty kick-ass. So one of them is called Blackwing Fi. They just won a Binance Accelerator like 2 days ago. They are doing liquidation-free margin trading on any chain. That means I can perform leverage on any asset, on any chain, without liquidation and without Oracle risk, which is like the goddamn best application in the world for the meme coin cycle. If a shitcoin comes off Pump Fund and is on Radium now, through Blackwing, I can trade it with leverage, long or short. If there is a token on Thruster on Blast, I can trade it with leverage, long or short. If there's a token anywhere across any of the Sovereign rollups or the other Initia rollups, through Blackwing, I can trade it with leverage. And that is, basically the end game of what trading should be like in crypto. And how they do it is they use a system called limitless pools. What that does is you can take any concentrated liquidity pool, collateralize it, and then perform leverage on the assets underneath. And by using an intent design with their layer 2, they can do all the cross-chain messaging and bridging for the users without them having to sign transactions. So similar to DYDX v4, you sign on Blackwing once to create a wallet. They create you wallets on 50 different chains, and then they do all the trading in the back end for you. The next one is Milky Way Zone. They are also a layer 2 on Initia. Milky Way is the first and biggest staking and LST platform for Celestia and TIA. And they're also now building a restaking platform for remilked TIA. They don't actually call it that, but I'm trying to force them to call it that. As well as remilked init, which will be very good. And basically within the modular ecosystem, restaking and AVSs have tons of use cases, especially with people that are long-term aligned with tokens like TIA. And so we can use Milky Way to secure things like sovereign rollups, as well as stuff like IBC relayers across Cosmos's ecosystem, which are notoriously a little suspicious when you have rollups being validated and bridged to with IBC. The last one I want to talk about is Contro. The guys in the audience right there, go talk to him later. He is basically building something called the GLOB, right? Very cool name. It stands for the Gradual Limit Order Book. And what that does is it slows down the time of markets to create basically a TWAP mixed with an order book. And why would you say this is interesting? Well, essentially, it's infrastructure built for prediction markets. If you look at prediction markets right now, like poly markets, which are incredibly popular, people love to gamble. One of the problems they have is front running. If someone finds out information a split second sooner than someone else, they can essentially snipe an entire betting pool and win the full outcome. That's not really the most fair way that betting markets should be placed. It should depend on basically not when you buy into the trade, but rather just who thinks one way or the other. So with the glob, there is no front running that's possible. Essentially, the slowed down markets ensure that if I think, Joe Biden is going to drop out of the race and someone else thinks that as well within the same time frame, we both would share in the same outcome, even if some new information drops last minute. So it creates ultra fair prediction markets, which is basically what you want for those types of things. Sweet, that is everything I want to talk about today. If you're interested in learning more about Inisha VIP, come hit me up on Twitter or Telegram. You can find me at It's Always Ani. You can follow Inisha at inisha.xyz, and follow all 3 of these layer 2s that I talked about today. They're building some awesome infrastructure with us, and we'll have plenty of VIP reward streams in the future.